as I studied all these laws and put them into motion and found the examples all around me and the simple things, I noticed that not everything was exactly the way I imagined. Sometimes when I talk to my clients and they want to become wealthy, I ask them, how wealthy do you want to be? And they would compare themselves to someone, Richard Branson, Donald Trump. And I'd say to them, okay, you want to be as wealthy as that. Great. Do you know how wealthy that is? And most times than not, they wouldn't have a clear idea. They knew that that was where they wanted to go, but they didn't know where there was. What level or measure of wealth? 200 million? 200 billion? What? They didn't know. They say, I just want to be that wealthy. I want to be able to afford a plane or a car or a Lamborghini or something like that. But then again, I asked someone in Bangladesh the same question. I want to be wealthy, Dr. Mel. Is that possible? Sure, it is. How wealthy do you want to be? They never thought about it. Well, I want to be wealthy as the village head, the fellow who owned that big bungalow in the corner. Really, how much does that bungalow cost? I'm just curious. You'd be surprised. It cost about $20,000 US. Yeah, I want to be wealthy enough to buy that house. Oh, I see. And live like him? How much does he earn? Oh, he earns about $1,000 or $2,000 US a month. Now, for the rest of us, that's not enough to keep us in the life we've been living, is it? But for him, it was enough. So again, I began to realize that there was a polarity shift that happened in all of us, and it was dynamic. It didn't stay the same all the time. Sometimes you are wealthy compared to someone else. Sometimes you are poor compared to other people who may have more than you. Sometimes you are beautiful compared to someone who is not so beautiful or disfigured in some way. And yet you are not so beautiful compared to a supermodel or someone who has this, looks that are stunning from birth and so on and so forth. And again, this is all perception, isn't it? Perception of wealth, perception of beauty, all on the outside. So ask yourself on the inside, are you as wealthy as you'd like to be? If you're wealthy on the inside, wealth is drawn to you naturally. You walk like a person filled with wealth and deserving wealth, and it will come. Because people will say to you and become apologetic as well along the way when they say, you know what, I cannot afford to pay you for da-da-da, but this is how much I can. Now, that happens to a lot of people, and I know for Jack along the way, it was very hard for him when he came out with his book, Chicken Soup for the Soul. He and Mark Victor Hansen literally had these books that they printed themselves, put in the back of the car, and they had to drive all over the 7 or 8 or 9 states to be able to put it in every independent bookstore. They tried to get people to sell the book for them. And before long, they met a friend of mine, Dan Pointer, and Dan became their marketing consultant. And Dan's also part of the Meta Secret. And Dan gave them a simple idea about marketing and doing this and doing that. And before you knew it, it caught a publisher's eye, and the rest is history. Jack is making more money than you or anyone else in your entire family working for 30 years could ever hope to earn. He's making hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Now, does that make him happy? No, it doesn't really. Spending it does. That's true of all people, isn't it? Money doesn't buy you happiness, but spending it does. Now, when you change your relationship with money and you see yourself on a polarity shift, you are here and you need to be on the opposite side of the pole, then you take a look at that and recognize that at some point, if you take steps along the way, you will achieve that goal. But then again, your comparisons will shift when you come there. You will now be different in the way you view yourself. You have taken a shift, your consciousness shift. Let's go into health, for instance. If you're finding yourself not on the polarity end of health that you want to be, you're not very healthy as a person, you've eaten unhealthy things and you've been addicted to this substance and that substance and so on and so forth, and you need to get rid of all of this, your polarity shift would be one of coming to a person who is extraordinarily healthy and feels less lethargic and is able to think more clearly and have more energy in their life and have more gusto as they start to live life and have more fun in life as well, then you would want to compare yourself with somebody else who is very, very healthy, in the pink of health. Now, if you start to do that, then you need to take corresponding steps along the way to get to where that person is, or model the behavior, or model the diet plan, or model something in the way they're thinking about themselves. And that energy shift happens. Now, that is also happening all around us in psychobioenergetics along the way as well. There are people actually studying your energy field, how you project yourself, the aura around you. This comes across in the vast fields that you project. Whether you're healthy or not is projected on these fields. How you come across with people, how they perceive you, how they feel around you. You know, there's some people, when you walk into a room, you'll notice straight away the room's energy just lifts up. And then there are other people that they walk into a room, the energy is suddenly depressed. Well, that's the energy they're talking about. You walk around with a high energy or a low energy, depending how you feel and the thoughts you think and the experiences you've had throughout your life. What has created the person you are? If you want to create a polarity shift to move from where you are or where you think you are to where you want to be at a higher or a different level, you begin to understand and have more wisdom to understand that the pole shift is not from lower to upper, but if you turn it on its side, it's from this end to that end, or from this end to that end. When you do this, it's easier to achieve. Don't think of shifting your polarities in terms of, I am poor, I want to be rich, or I am low self-esteem and I want to be high self-esteem. Turn that shift, that pole, on its side. I am here and I want to be here. That's easier to do, isn't it? It's on level ground. All you got to do is take the necessary steps to be able to become the person you want to be, or to experience the shift you want to have happen in your life. If you want shift to happen in your life, you've got to be able to make it happen. No one's going to do it for you. You have to be the one to make that happen.